Good morning, everyone, and I welcome you to the Optimist International Convention Town Hall meeting of the Board of Directors on this bright and sunny Thursday morning in Atlanta, Georgia. We are experiencing the beginning of a tropical storm here in Barbados, so I hope that the storm doesn't reach the boardroom and we get too many hard questions coming out of the audience. But that being said, I want to welcome you to the convention. For those who have traveled to Atlanta, Georgia, welcome. And I hope you have a great time with our wonderful hosts there. And for the people who are online, I also want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to always have our members being able to put our board on the firing line, to hear the questions and concerns that truly matter to them so that we can address them frontally and so that you can know that we are doing the work that best serves you and our wonderful organization that we love called Optimist International. So my name is Adrian Alcock. I am the immediate past president, and in our policies, the immediate past president chairs board meetings. So it's my pleasure to chair this town hall meeting so that I can be with you and shepherd you through this process. Joining us today on the stage, we have our president, Mark Winesoff, who is here with us, and we want to thank him for having the bravery and the courage to execute this convention. Thank you so much, President Mark. We appreciate your leadership. Unfortunately, due to a prior commitment, our president-designate, Patsy Garner, is unable to join us this morning, but we know that she's working very hard on behalf of our organization. We also have other directors with us, including our newly elected president-elect, Mr. Bob Mcfadden. Welcome, Bob. Thank you for joining us. And we have our core directors, Janet Lloyd, Robert Doyle. He'll be joining online. Sandy Larrabee, Luke Dubois will be joining online. Sandy Williams, Sandy Cyphers, and that looks like who I see on the stage. Okay, I'm not ready for you yet, Benny. Don't worry. I can see your head here. I can see your head from here. And we also have our ex officios, Janet Ward Graves, who should be in the audience, and joining online will be the president of the CCOF, JC Sinanj, past president of Optimist International. So President Janet Ward Graves from the Optimist International Foundation. Now, anchoring President Mark is our fearless leader, as I like to call him, Mr. Benny Ellerby, the retiring executive director of Optimist International, who has given 16 years of unbroken and tireless service to this organization. And on behalf of the board of directors, in front of the members, we once again publicly thank you. I know you're getting loads of commendation this weekend, but we truly appreciate you, and we thank you for your role in helping to make this organization reach its 102nd year of service to the children of the world. So thank you, Benny Ellerby, and the Center. And before I get to introducing the final member on the stage, I just want to share with you that because this is history and we are doing a hybrid convention where we have a virtual component as well as a live component, we need a few more housekeeping rules than we typically would have. So first of all, I'm operating on a separate platform, just so you know. So anyone who wants to send me a direct message, I'm not gonna see it because you don't know where I am. So what we do have, we have a gatekeeper, if I can call it that, Mr. Tom Lloyd. He is my gatekeeper, and he is going to take the questions from the chat in the main hall, and he's going to make sure that I get them, that I can ask any questions and direct the answer to those questions to the illustrious panel on stage. So that's the first thing. For those in the audience, if you have a question, there are mics in the audience, in the aisles, and you can join any of those mics in the aisles, and you can ask the question, and someone will probably give me some sort of crazy symbol.
Adrian, can we, it's a little bit different. We thought we'd have microphones set up in the front, but what we're going to do, if you would like to ask a question, if you could raise your hand, we will bring a microphone to you and call on you, and we'll direct Adrian to that there's a question in the audience.
Okay, great. Thank you, President Mark. When you've been to too many conventions, you just have a room set up in your head. So I assume that what was happening. So raise your hand and a mic will be brought to you and you ask your question live and I will hear it in real time. So that's the first thing. To the people in the chat, there's going to be a delay between where I am and what's happening in the main platform. So please give me a minute. If you don't see me get to you, I will get to you accordingly. So I think that's it about housekeeping. We ask you to be respectful in your questions. We ask you to be civil in your decorum in the hall. We will be fair and we will answer all questions accordingly. I'm assuming I have some past presidents and past directors in the audience as well, so I welcome them to this town hall meeting as well, and we ask for your wisdom if necessary. If President Mark has to reach out to you, is something that we don't have. We also will have a number of international committee chairs who may be available to ask questions on specific topics if we do not know the answer, but the catch-all is always there. If we don't know, we will get back to you. My tireless leader, Benny, will shoot out an email post-convention with any questions or concerns and make sure we get it to the audience. That's about right. Right, Benny? Okay, he nods his head. So the final person on the stage is our incoming executive director. She will be joining us in August of this year. And Benny and her will work together in a transition to ensure a seamless transition. She is the first female executive director in the history of Optimist International, and I think that deserves a round of applause for the. She's extremely well known in the non-for-profit world, having spent 14 years as the Chief International Programs Officer of HOBY, which many of us know because of our partnership, the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Organization. She has spent 14 years there. She has a master's degree in leadership and management, and she earned the Certified Association Executive Designation from the American Society of Association Executives. She does have some international background as well. She does not speak French fluently, but she can comprehend a few words. And the bonjour, merci, you'll graduate from us knowing those two words, and she'll probably have about 5 more that she can add to her lexicon. So I am extremely thrilled to introduce the next executive director of Optimist International, Ms. Cheryl Brenn, who currently resides in Clifton Park, New York, and is getting ready to pack up and move to St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome, Cheryl, to Optimist International.
Thank you so much, Adrian, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning with all of you, both in this room and online. I am delighted to join the Optimist and be part of this family, and I'm ready to get to work for you. So thank you so much.
You're quite welcome, Cheryl. Thank you so much. Cheryl, unfortunately, you're on the firing line today. We want our members to get to learn you and know you, and of course, ask any questions about you. But so they have a little background of what they don't see or read in paper or on paper, can you just share a little bit about yourselves and the skills that impress us as a board of directors to bring you over the Rubicon of HOBY to Optimist International?
Certainly. So I have been involved with HOBY for actually 28 years. I was a 14-year volunteer before I came on staff there. And I will tell you, I am a lifelong volunteer. I grew up in service clubs. I was a member of the JCs for a very long time until they kick you out, which I don't like so much. But I have always been a community volunteer and certainly have been very dedicated to the development of youth all around the world. I've been fortunate enough to, quite honestly, travel the world to do leadership training for young people and empower young people to make a difference because, as all of you believe, I mean, like truly the youth is our future, and if we can't invest in them and know that we are in good hands, and I want to do everything we can to make sure that we empower that. I have been in nonprofit management for about 25 years before I came to Hobie. I was with the New York State School Boards Association for quite some time, the New York State Recreation and Park Society for quite some time. So I do have a pretty extensive background in nonprofit management, and I'm just excited to join this team and to help move the organization forward for another century.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, as I indicated, we do need to ensure that we are civil and have a process here. And we have one of our long-lasting parliamentarians in the audience, Mr. Bob Garner. And if we have any questions on parliamentary procedure, governance, or just general order, I'm going to reach out to him just for some clarity. So just so you know that, thank you so much for that. Okay, Cheryl's given her introduction. Do we have any questions of Cheryl straight off the bat from anyone?
I plead the fifth.
Cheryl, repeat the question. What was it?
The question was, am I a Yankees fan?
Okay, all right. That's a dangerous question to ask in Braves town. So, a brave answer. So, yes. Any other questions?
If you have a question, just raise your hand. There's one over there. No. We need the microphone so the people online can hear us.
Oh, sorry. Welcome, Cheryl. So my question would be, what do you see, without coming in, as they say, a new sheriff in town, but what is your vision moving forward with our organization? Do you see some changes you'd like to make?
That's a great question. Thank you for that. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, we want to make sweeping changes, because I think you have a beautiful, wonderful history and legacy. However, I think it's important to, once I get into this role, is to really look deep at how we're operating and how we can move forward. Are there opportunities for efficiencies? Are there opportunities to expand how people can engage with the organization? I think, you know, the world is changing, and we have to change with it.
Thank you. Any other questions? So Cheryl, we have heard, we are hearing that one of the areas of focus for you will be our outward image, and how do we enhance the image of Optimist International. Any thoughts, preliminary thoughts or ideas you have as to how we can get that done?
Well, certainly, I think everyone would agree that we need to do more and have a strategy around how we convey the organization and how we want to move forward. And we live in a visual society, right? So that image that we project is going to be important. I know we're going to talk a lot about some website and some social media content and what strategies can look like around that. But those are things that we'll definitely dive into as I assume this role.
Okay, thank you. Now, we are hearing a lot of changes recently in our organization, and I know for some of our members it can become fast and furious, but we want to assure you that they're well thought out. And one of the changes that you have heard is the sale of our building. You would have seen President Mark issued a press release that would have gone out from a particular organization of their interest in our building. I'm going to ask Benny Ellaby, our executive director, who the board has charged to lead this process. Why are we selling our building? What are the prospects for us if we're not in our building, et cetera? Just allay the concerns of our members that this is just a irrational decision. Benny?
Thank you, President Adrian. Our building, why we're selling, we weren't really in the market for selling our building, but about 8 or 9 years ago, we were approached by developers to purchase our property at a very, actually above market price. Our building is 38,000 square feet. It was built in 1961. It's an old building. It was, and I'm going to say this, it was poorly designed in many areas of the building. It's like silos, which is not really conducive to a good workflow. The building's old. We have iron pipes. We have something called asbestos. We have lead paint. Anything built in 1960 comes with these issues. Now, a lot of those issues have been abated, but the building is in great need of more investment, more repair, maintenance. We have an elevator that costs us about $12,000 a year to maintain that elevator. And so when the developer approached the board approximately 8 years ago, the first developer, we saw some significant cost savings. It's an expensive building to heat and to cool. Our staffing at one time was in the 60s. Today it's in the mid-20s. 38,000 square feet and 25 employees. We can go for an hour or so and not meet anybody in the hallways. So it's a very large building. It's a beautiful building. It was our forefathers gave us a tremendous asset, but now it's time to change. So we have a developer that is attempting to secure the permits to build a beautiful 7-story condo. The Central West End is booming. So it's an opportunity for us to pull our investment out of that building and to seek some change. We are looking to in that St. Louis market. We're going to stay there. That's the direction of the board, is to stay in the St. Louis market. But right now it's still a 50-50. When I say developer, we've had this is the 4th developer that has made the attempt to work with the city of St. Louis to secure the permits. So if you ask me today, I think we're about 50-50 on the building will sell or not sell. So it's a process, and I don't think you'll see that process end until probably the fall of this year. Well, we'll know if the building will sell and close, or that we'll be looking for another developer to take the 5th shot. So that's kind of where we're at today.
Thank you so much. So yes, there you heard it. It's a very well thought out decision. It's extremely expensive for us to maintain the building and keep the building. And we believe that our cost of operation could be lower. And once our cost of operation is lower, it benefits our membership. So, but in addition, as we have driven towards technology implementation in our organization, we don't anticipate that our staff complement will get back up to those numbers again. We believe that better deployment of technology will help us. So thank you for that answer, Benny, and it truly helps to let our members understand. But I'm assuming if you sell this building, you're going to get a wash load of money. And I believe that President Mark, last year, we were able to put in place a committee that indicated that this money that we get, we're optimists, when the sale goes through, will be managed in a special relationship using our pension and advisory committee, of which Benny, I think, is supposed to play a role in that from next year as well. So, President Mark, that's accurate, correct?
Yes, and so it will have an annual return into our operating budget, as well as it will continue to grow.
So that's the prudent and proper use of the financial resources of the organization. We can assure you that, yes, part of it will have to go towards getting new headquarters, but we expect a surplus that will be invested for the benefit of the organization and the programs that we execute. Okay, any questions from the audience?
Here we go, over here.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank
My
you.
name is M. Joyce Baker-Smith, and I'm the governor-elect from the Pacific Southeast District. And regarding the building, when I heard the rumor, I was devastated, to say the least. And I understand all the financial benefits, but I also live in a city, the name of the city is Pomona, California. And what we're doing in our city is, even though we have old buildings, we have considered some of those as historical sites. I know you said this was constructed in 1961. I'm not sure if that makes it a historical site. But what we have also done, and I was wondering if you'd considered this, is refurbishing it and renting out spaces so that our name would still be part of the city of St. Louis. It's, I keep hearing this, and I'm praying that someone will consider that rather than tearing it down or whatever and building a condo, because we have a lot of those going up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. And what a wonderful question that is. And it shows your passion and your interest in the organization. Short answer is yes, it was considered. Benny will give you the details, but we have gone through the different permutations of, can we live in part of the building? Can we move in part of the building? But Benny, give her a bit more details of all the different steps you have taken to just come to this conclusion.
Thank you. That was a good question, and that's something that we looked at very hard. One of the buyers was Washington University, and their intent was to totally refurbish the building at a very expensive price and make a medical center out of the building. We looked at several times of subleasing our floors to other entities, other nonprofits. We had a couple issues though. When I said the building is odd in its construction, the entryway made it very difficult for us to sublease. Also, our building is built in 1961, has 1961 issues. We're not a sprinkler building. We don't have sprinkler systems. We have a lot of issues, bathrooms, handicap, accessible issues, that we would have to bring the building up to code to be able to sublease our building within the St. Louis market. It would cost a significant investment of several $1 million to bring our building up to code, so that would allow us to sublease the building to other participants. So it's pretty, and the way the building is built, it really is a one occupancy type building structure. So that gave us difficulties as well.
Thank you. So the cost of investing in retaining the building becomes very prohibitive for an organization or a site. For those of you who do not know, we operate based on a $4 million budget a year in terms of revenues, and we pretty much, if we have a good year, can net probably about 2.5% of that. So not an extremely lucrative income stream that comes in. So to take up our corpus to reinvest in that, it means that we would have to get a loan to do that, and we'll be putting the organization in debt. So these are factors that your board of directors considered, and we had to make the very difficult decision. But one thing we do know is that we are 101 years old, and that proves that Optimist International does not die. We'll still be here regardless of where our shingle is in the world. We will still be around. So thank you so much, Joyce Baker-Smith, for that intervention. We appreciate you.
There's a question over on the left here.
Okay, I see the person clearly.
This also still pertaining to the building. I know old building need a lot of work and so forth, but if the building gets sold, are the intentions to probably acquire another one, so we'll have another landmark for the next whatever many years? Or is this something that we're gonna just go and lease something?
Yes, Benny, you can go ahead.
The intention, the board directive, is for us to buy a new building. We had a building scouted out last year during the Washington University adventure, and it was Boys Hope and Girls Hope building. It was their international headquarters. It was a one level, no elevator, significant savings in light and gas and heating. Regretfully, we could not make an offer on that building until we knew our building was going to close. That building has since been sold. So, but we will be staying in the St. Louis market and looking to buy.
And let me add to that, we will definitely buy a new building, and it will be modern. It'll have it'll better enable us to communicate in the new world. It'll have the technology we need for training issues and things like that, but it will be designed and smaller in such a way so that our staff can communicate better internally. So right now, as he said, we've got people on different floors. You know, it takes 15 minutes to go find somebody in person in that building. And the new building will have everybody together in a better way for better communication and collaboration. And it'll be beautiful too.
Okay. Now I'm going to throw my president a curveball. I hope he can answer this one. There's always a lot of talk about our district structure. President Bob Garner would have led a team of international optimists in what we call the RUSA Committee, which made a number of recommendations. And one of it was to look at how we can better enhance our structure. And out of that research came out the information that many of our districts are struggling. Now, each year, every president has challenges trying to find governors. Some districts have challenges having to repeat governorships. Now, President Mark, you came up with an initiative last year where you ran a pilot in 2 different areas about how we can use the district structure, but with a different administrative structure. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So what we did, maybe your district is experiencing something like this, but we had districts that had been struggling for years and where they could not even select a governor-elect. We set up a system, a support system for them, which had an Optimist International person who was selected by the board, who would help guide a person from the district to run the district. So we have that going. I think Pauline is in the room. I think I saw her. So we have in New York, New England was our first one on board with this, and Tracy Huxley is working with Pauline to get the district support so that we can develop new leadership and make sure that the clubs have the support they need. And we're doing that in several different districts. I think we have 4 of those running. I have to count them in my head, but there are 4 districts running under that structure this year, and we're hopeful that that will pay off as we get to their conventions this year and have more people running for office and developing future leaders for those districts.
Thank you, President Mark. So we are not playing dead. We're sitting down trying to come up with new ideas and initiatives. We know people are passionate about the districts, but we are trying to see how we can use districts in a more creative way so that it best suits you and it best serves us as an organization. Now, one of the other areas that I want to throw out there relates to the use of technology. There was a lot of communication in the speech last night about opera, about the use of technology. Now, President Mark, are you able, or Benny, to give an update of how our learning management system, or as I call it, our Optimist International University, how that has helped to, do we have any preliminary information on how it is working and how this has helped to improve our training?
President Adrian, if I understand the question, how is the LMS system operating and will improve? Is that the question?
Basically asking how is the learning management system functioning? Is it working? And do we have any preliminary success reports on whether we're getting favorable reports on the improvement of our training modules?
Let me say that the people who have used the learning management system have 100%, I don't think I've heard less than glowing reviews of the material that's on the learning management system. We still do not have a large percentage of people using that system. We have a good number of people. Now, we put it into the Honor Club guidelines or requirements for Honor Club that officers would take that training because it is the way, and this convention is an example of this, where we were not able, because of our small numbers here, to do the president training and lieutenant governor training and other training that we would have done here, leadership development. But since we have the learning management system and it's superb, we believe we can move more of that way, and we can reach more people that way. But it's important for people to take advantage of the system. So we have to do a better job of getting people to use the system, but the people who are using it feel it is, every single one has said it's great. And so we're working on getting more people. Now, the other thing that's happening with the learning management system is we are entering the professional development program into the system. So that now, with the personal growth and involvement program, you had to carry a card around with you and have people mark it off by hand. And I lost mine 3 times on the way to PGI level 10. But now you'll be able to track your progress throughout the professional development program online. We'll be able to issue online badging that you can put on your LinkedIn pages and things like that. So it's going to help us modernize our professional development program as well. So, Adrian, I don't know if you want more than that. We do have a couple of questions in the audience. And
Okay, great. Let's go to the audience.
Okay, we're going to start here. Marion, did you have a question there?
Thanks, Tim. My question concerns next year and the future. I was told by my incoming governor that there are to be no themes. I know this year was Choose Optimism. My year was Love. So our district theme was Love the Kids, Live the Creed. And that we're getting rid of pins, all of which I feel have been very important and will continue to be important. So I have a concern.
Yeah, that would be a Patsy Garner question, and she was not able to be with us this morning.
She's not here to answer, so.
But I would urge you to take that question up with her directly. She's available during this week, and she would be happy to answer that question, I'm sure.
One of the things to the questioner is that President-designate Patsy has embraced an overall theme called optimism. And it's a segue from President Mark's Choose Optimism. And she's basically asking all of us to express ourselves and our optimism in a very powerful way. So I do believe that she'll be able to give you an answer to your question. And one thing I can say, she's very approachable. So please feel free to approach her directly. And sorry that we can't answer you immediately, but I do know that she has said her theme is optimism. Any other questions?
Do I have the floor? May I have the mic? I can't have the mic. Ed Smith, Kentucky West Virginia District Secretary Treasurer, Louisville Optimist Club. First of all, on behalf of my district, I'd like to offer a sincere apology to this board for the derogatory remarks made on Facebook relative to this board. I apologize wholeheartedly, and it is not our district does not feel that the person that made those remarks speaks for our district. However, relative our international structure and relative our problems with obtaining governors and leadership, we have a club in District 90 that's seceded from our district, and I think that this needs to be addressed more than it is being because of the economic effect as well as the leadership caused by that. I have other clubs that are saying if they can do it, we can do it. And I'm afraid that if this virus goes through our international, that it could cause a bigger problem. So my question is, what is the rationale from the district for not addressing and following our international bylaws, our policies, as they are directed toward this particular club? We have a federal government, a state government, a county government, a city government, a community government. We all have rules. They're all supposed to be followed. They're all supposed to be enforced. You say, well, we've got to keep Optimist clubs going. We've got to do as much as we can to keep our programs going. I agree totally. We let clubs, what's the word? We don't make them pay all their dues just to keep them. And I understand all the things that we need to do to maintain our clubs and to keep them going. I understand the problems, but I also think that we need to enforce our rules and do the things that we're supposed to do. I follow the rules. If a police officer tells me to stop, I stop. I don't keep going. And I think that's been a violation here, and I want someone on the board to tell my district that they need to continue on the path that we have in the previous, that we need to continue to support our district, continue to support our Optimist International, and I don't think they have to do that unless you all enforce it. Do you understand my question?
Thank you so much, Ed, and we really appreciate your question. We first of all appreciate the apology that you have given. That was a very distressing time under my leadership, I remember well. So thank you, Ed, first of all, for your apology, and thank you for your leadership. I will take part of this, and I'm going to hand over to Ben. First of all, I do not think it's fair to say that the board has basically ignore this issue. A tremendous amount of man hours was spent interfacing with the parties involved, trying to find a resolution. There are some issues that get to a point of personal animus and anxiety that a board of directors sometimes has to consider what's in the greater good for the organization, the district, and the clubs involved. And I believe that the board got to that point, and the same way we make rules, we have the ability to adjust rules when situations do occur. So the board did not ignore the issue. The board tried to find a resolution that could work for all the parties. And last year in particular, as it related to the participation of the ability of young people to participate in Optimist programs being compromised, the board took a position that we needed to protect that because we are here to serve children first and foremost. So we did take that position. It was a decision that may not be popular with you or others, but it was a decision nonetheless. As it relates to the ongoing relationship of the particular club in the district, I think it is a complicated issue, and yes, it's a decision that we took, that we believe that that club could coexist in the district. There were some people who did not want the club in the district, and there was that club that did not want to be in the district. So you have this dichotomy of views that needed to be addressed. But I just wanted to give that opening pretext because Benny, I know, probably spent out of one work week every week, probably spends about 5 hours a week dealing with that for probably close to 6 or 8 months. Benny?
Thanks, Adrian. And the question is a tough question, and we worked together on that issue. I will say that we did follow policies and bylaws. We never allowed that club to leave the district until after exhaustion from both the district and looking at everything we could. The governor, in writing, per bylaws, allowed the club to leave the district. So we did follow policies. I agree with you. That club has no rights. They have no privileges. Like if you join the country club, you can swim in the pool. If you don't pay your country club dues, you cannot swim in the pool. So the district has no obligations anymore to that club. And we've got another club like that. So this is kind of two. But we did follow bylaws. We did work closely. I called that club a half dozen times, more than that. I spoke with the governor extensively. We had face-to-face discussions, and only after the district allowed us in writing to remove the club was it allowed. That club has no privileges within the district.
Juan, there's a question up here.
Thanks, Benny. We also want to remind our people in the chat, in the virtual hall, that they can submit questions or open their mics and ask a question, or they can send it in the chat function.
Okay. Patrick Prendergast, current IVP for the Southeast region from the Caribbean District. I wanted to go back to two things. Well, the question just now, the LMS question, and there was another point before that, but all of which for me spoke to the issue of communication with the clubs and having direct or indirect communication with the clubs. I wanted to hear from the board, and it could be taken by anybody for that matter, do we have any ideas about how we can actually improve the communication between the OI board, OI office, the regional level, to the district level, to the clubs? Or are we thinking that we will continue to have direct communication between OI, the head office, and the clubs themselves?
Thank you, Dr. Prendergast. I'm going to give that to Mark or Benny. Or does Sandy Larrabee want to take that?
I think one of the things, I think one of the things, and maybe if somebody wants to answer online, one of the board members online too, that might be good. But we are working on our internal communications. I think that's something that I struggled with this year in terms of making some changes, and we are moving in that direction. I think we need to do a better job with our internal communications, and we would welcome recommendations as we analyze how best to do that. We did implement a couple of things where, one of which is a direct email from me once a month to talk about specific points of interest, separate from all the other things that people see coming at them. Because I think what's happening is a lot of our messaging is getting lost in the scheme of things. And so with the new technology that we have available, we haven't really taken full advantage of all the communication tools and opportunities available to us. And we will be working with our new executive director to do that. And moving forward, we do need to improve that.
I want to jump in here too. We just hired a new social media marketing person within the headquarters this fiscal year. And I think the LMS system is a way that we're going to communicate with our clubs. All training was done at the district level, and we know probably 15, 20, 25% of our clubs attend district meetings. We had to figure out how to get to the other 75% with training and education. So the LMS system is another way that we're trying to reach out to our clubs.
Looks like our president-designate, or president-elect, would like to say a few words on this issue.
Thank you very much, President Mark. Bob Mcfadden, President-elect of Optimus International. Patrick, thank you very much for the question. Actually, my number one goal in 2 years is to try and find an opportunity for Optimist International to communicate directly with our members. Now, it's very difficult to do. We can use email, we can use constant contact, but we can't stop people from just automatically assuming it's scam or it's marketing and get rid of it. So I will be looking over the next year and a half of ways of making the communication as personal as possible to each of our members so that there will be an email coming or a communication coming from Optimus International, from President Bob, to each and every member at least once a month. That is my plan right now, subject to change without notice, of course, but that is what my goal is, and that's what I'd like to accomplish.
Thank you so much, President-elect Bob. One of the things that you'll realize, Dr. Prendergast, is that we have introduced over the years, last 2 years with the advent of technology, a number of initiatives that allow us to reach more members. So we would have started the President's Forum that President Mark and myself have done. This year, I know Lieutenant Governor President-designate Patsy had a Lieutenant Governor's Forum, and we're trying to utilize the technology to engage with groups directly. Now, we know some districts are a little put out with that in that they believe that the channel is from Hawaii to the district and from the district to the members. But sometimes communication needs to go direct if we need to make sure the messaging gets out. So we have found that those have worked successfully in improving the communication channels. But as Bob says, President-elect Bob says, it's a work in progress. So we will get better. Benny has put the resources there. Cheryl has some background in communication, so she will drive those resources to streamline messaging. And we feel confident that our messaging will become clear.
Chris Jernigan.
Oh, wait, before you do, I think we're still on this issue. Sorry.
I just want to say, President-designate Patsy, if you listen to her speech tomorrow, you will understand that this is one of the major goals that she has, is to get right down to the club level and increase communication. And there's going to be much more engagement between the districts, the district chairs, and all of the people who serve in roles within the district. So this is your opportunity to perhaps engage with Patsy as well to understand her program.
Thank you so much.
Past President Adrian, this is Sandy. I would like to say something, please. I've had the distinct pleasure of serving on this board for not 3 years, but 4 years. And I want to assure each one of you that if we selected 5 top topics that are discussed at our board meeting, it would be communication with the clubs. I assure you that we have spent hours and hours discussing how our organization, Optimist International, can best reach out and hear what you, the members and clubs, have to say. What can we do better, or how can we improve to assist in this situation? It is truly a topic that is discussed, and we work very diligently in trying to come up with the LMS or any other way that we possibly can assist in helping you as members, as presidents, as governors, to reach us or reach Optimist International with anything that you need answered. And there's no clear, defined way. Just call and ask. And if someone that you call and you ask cannot answer that question, then continue your pursuit. But please know that that is on the top of the priority list, and that is you, the members, your clubs.
Thank you so much, Director Sanders. The question from the chat. We are being asked by Janice Matthews, if a club is not affiliated with a district, can they still carry the Optimist name? Does Optimist International support them? So that question has come from the chat. Janice, yes, they can still carry the name. Optimist International has a number of facilities for undistricted clubs. I believe that's a phrase we use, Benny. So basically what happens is that you can form different types of clubs, and they will be put in a category that is managed directly from Optimist International. Benny, if you want to expand on that in any way.
That's correct, Adrian. We have any club that's in a that's we call non-district is there. They pay Optimist dues. They have the same rights of logo and trademark and those issues. Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Let's try.
Another question?
Chris Jernigan, Optimist Club of Morganton, North Carolina, past Vice President and past Board of Directors.
Welcome.
Thank you, Adrian. First of all, I would like to commend the board, the administration and staff for getting us successfully through probably one of the hardest years we've ever had as an organization. My question, kind of two questions rolled into one, refers to partly what past President Don said last night. He talked about the fact that he had encouraged President Mark to further carry a message that President Mark and I have shared and championed for a long time, and that is that our organization has this great history of being the optimist, and that we have all of this branding that we can use. And President Mark has really focused on that this year and tried to get folks to understand that we have this we can use versus just being a service organization. We can be the positive organization of the world. And also, this past year, we have finally allowed individuals to become a part of our organization, especially individuals with that mindset. So my question is, have those two things gained any ground, and how has that worked for us this year, President Mark?
If I might, Adrian. Yeah, I would say the answer is we're moving in that direction slowly but surely. We've taken some steps this year. For the first time, we participated as an organization in the International Day of Happiness that was declared by the United Nations on March 20th every year. That started in 2012, and I thought that was perfectly suited for us to be a leader in being out there and getting our message out on the International Day of Happiness, and we did that this year. We were kind of restricted because of COVID to the musical happiness program, but many clubs did things in their own communities separate from that. In fact, my own club did in Santa Barbara. So that's one step we took this year, and that's going to continue on. Patsy and I think we've just made a commitment as an organization that will promote it. One of the things I'd like to see is on that Optimist Day in February, not just make it a branding thing where we just go out and show up in our Optimist gear, but that we actually do an optimistic activity while we're doing that. I'd like to see that as something we can add on next year. And then I think it's important for us, one of the things that we're working on in the activities programs is resilience programs for youth. So positive psychology has a lot to offer that builds resilience. So one of the things that's happening in the U.S. Army is they are using positive psychology principles to prepare soldiers before they go into the field to deal with what's called post-traumatic stress. And rather than have them have to endure post-traumatic stress, preparing them in a way that allows them to deal with adverse situations and have post-traumatic growth. And that we can do with children as well. So our health and wellness, our activities committee has been working on programs along those lines, and they will be continuing. So we have a good carryover. Patsy and I have worked together on this. We have a good carryover, and we hope to have those resilience programs to offer in the coming year. If we can offer resilience programs for youth who are certainly experiencing more stress than we did when we were children, we can help make this world a better place through optimism. So that's one of the things. We've also applied for a grant, a large grant, to help us develop a curriculum and hire professional people to deliver these programs as well. We'll see how that goes, but we are working in areas to make our organization more relevant to our communities in these difficult times. And then one last thing that we're doing right now, and is a program Optimist clubs can join in on, is the MI Understanding program that uses Sesame Street-like puppets to communicate with youth who are on a number of issues, whether it's diversity or how to deal with autistic, differently abled children, or there's a new program that you'll hear about at convention specifically for children with mental illness who are isolated in their homes because of COVID and not having the support system that they normally have in the schools and other places. So we're taking steps to incorporate the principles of positive psychology in positive ways for our communities, and you'll see some of that coming forward in the next year, I hope.
Thank you so much, President Mark. If there are no other questions from the audience, we have a question in the chat.
We have one in the audience.
And Adrian, President Adrian, I got a question. I want to ask one from the table. Can I do that real quick? And we got one here in the audience.
Okay.
I got a question. We've been doing online elections now for several years. And the satisfaction's come back is like 97% satisfied with the process of the online voting. But I just got to ask, I said, do you like voting online, or do you want to bring elections back to the convention? And let's do this. Everybody who likes voting online and keep it that way, raise your hand.
They're all online reasons.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, everybody would want to bring the elections back to the conventions, raise your hand.
How about a hybrid of that?
Or
It happens simultaneously here.
Or a hybrid, okay. All right, so I just had to ask that question because it's been successful. We've had multiple candidates in every election, and really the satisfactions have been off the charts. But I just thought I'd have to ask the question because it's been a few years, and this is a town hall. I got to ask you guys questions too. So I apologize.
No problem. Good question. Thank you so much. Question in the audience.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, guys. I am Esther Stubbs, Governor-elect from the Alabama-Mississippi District. First, I would like to apologize for coming before you without having done my due diligence. I am a fact-finding person, and I like to deal with facts. However, something came up Tuesday that caught my attention, and I want to ask questions about it. I know we are focusing on branding the OI name and image, and as we go forward, I wholeheartedly support this. But what came up Tuesday in a conversation is that there are other organizations out here using the name Optimist that are not a part of Optimist International, and that was an eye-opener for me and a concern. So my question to you is, as we go forward with our branding initiative, will we or do we plan to trademark the old Optimist International name so that we will not have other organizations, dysfunctional clubs within Optimist International using the Optimist International name?
I'll take
Okay.
that one.
Thank you. Okay. Then Benny?
Yep, I'll take that one as corporate secretary. We are trademarked in several categories with our name, our logos, multiple logos. Our joy is trademarked. The word optimist, though, we cannot trademark. That's a word, happiness, prosperity. So we trademark Optimist International Clubs or Optimist Clubs. So we can go and cease and desist any organization that uses the combination of Optimist International Clubs. But if somebody just says that they're Optimist guys or girls, that word is not trademarked, and it is a world domain. And I'll tell you another one. Our creed was written about 20 years before the organization was founded. We do not own the creed. Now, when companies ask me if they can use the creed, I always say, sure, you can use the creed, as long as you mention Optimist International and tag us. So we're slowly trying to tag that and bring it into the organization. But the word optimist is just a word like happiness. You just cannot trade that word. But if someone uses the word, and if you know of somebody that's doing Optimist International Club or Optimist Club, we can cease and desist that organization.
Thank you, Benny. And we do know at the board level that there's one organization that I believe it came out of California, the Optimist Dinghy Association. It's a boating program where it teaches young children how to sail and do boating. And they have the right to use that name. That's the only one I believe we're familiar with. There may be others, but as Benny says, it's a noun, and we can't necessarily trademark the noun. Sandy, I have a question on the chat. Is it on the same issue? I thought I saw the mic pass to Sandy Cyphers. Sandy, you had a question? A comment? Okay. All right. So we have a question in the chat. Obviously, we can't bring our town hall meeting to a close without something that is a little controversial. But in the platform, the Encore platform, Brian Wallace is asking me, with the closure of the Montreal office, what are the plans for the Canadian Optimist clubs to pay dues to a Canadian entity as monies raised cannot leave the country? I heard something about Dropbox, but this is international banking and not Canadian. So the question once again from Brian Wallace is, with the closure of the Montreal office, what are the plans for the Canadian Optimist clubs to pay dues to a Canadian entity as monies raised cannot leave the country? I heard something about a Dropbox, but this is international banking and not Canadian. I'm gonna give a little stab at it, and then I'm gonna hand over to Sandy Larrabee, since she is a Canadian on stage. Brian, the first thing I wanna say is thank you for your question. The second thing I wanna say is that many organizations around the world has a central secretariat that allows for members from around the world to pay monies. I'm in Barbados. I'm a member of the Optimist Club of Barbados, Bridgetown, and every year we have to do a wire transfer into an account in the USA from Barbados, convert our money from Barbados dollars to US dollars, and get it into the US to make sure that our club stays current. The Optimist International Caribbean District is based in Jamaica, and we have to do the same. We have to send money up to Jamaica to ensure that our membership in the district stays current. In Canada, we took the decision that we could effectively service our Canadian members who are English speaking out of our St. Louis, Missouri office. There are many facilities that will allow payment of dues, and that may include a Dropbox, but it also would include the ability to wire transfer money into a Canadian bank. As far as I'm aware, sitting on the board as a senior member, the board has not taken any decision to cancel its bank accounts in Canada. So we will continue to have bank accounts in Canada, and you'll be able to transfer your money there. Sandy Larrabee, do you want to piggyback on what I've said?
Yes, thank you very much, Past President Adrian. And many people are concerned about in Canada about the formation of the the pilot project, the Optimist francophone canadien, that there would be no service for the Canadian Optimus. That is absolutely not true. We have, President Mark had the foresight to create a committee called the Pilot Project Canadian Transition Committee, and they are more than willing to hear any questions from Canadians and Americans and members from the Caribbean and around the world regarding this project and how it will affect us, particularly around the administrative things that may change. But at the end of the day, we're all optimists. In regards to the banking, I would assure Canadian members that the money will go into a Canadian account. Having addressed this situation a few times, the Canadian banking system will accept our money. The funds will be in Canadian. I know there was some concerns around gaming funds and whether that would affect them because Canadians are not allowed to send gaming money out of the country. That is very simple. Send your money to a different address. It's a different mailing address. The money is going into a Canadian bank account, and there should be no concerns. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Sandy. Okay, we're now at that hour. We're going to close off, but before we do, we're going to check one more time with the audience to see if there are any questions.
Yes, there are. And I think we're scheduled to go to 9:30.
Oh, it's 9:30. I was still 9. I apologize.
Good morning again. I'm Joyce Baker-Smith from the Pacific Southeast District. First of all, as far as communication with Optimist International, it's been wonderful for me. I've been able to talk with our President Mark, Benny, Tom, Amy, Stephanie, Charlotte, Shanita, and Michelle, and they've all been able to solve my issues. That's the first thing. The next thing is at the meeting that we had last night, we talked about the MI understanding, and that's a wonderful program. My question was, and it was unable to be answered there, is will this be considered a new program and therefore qualify for a new program under the match program that we have? Thank you.
Okay, so actually, I thought you were asking a different question. The Optimist International Board did approve the MI understanding as an Optimist International program, but what you're asking is a foundation question. I don't know if somebody from the foundation wants to come forward and answer that, but the foundation grant, as I understand it, applies to any new program your club takes on that you can provide matching funds for. So I'm hoping I'm getting this right, and if somebody from the foundation wants to.
Yeah, I'll speak for Craig. Craig loves giving money away, so yes.
Simple answer.
So not only this, but any other new program that you wanted to do that that would fit this bill. So yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, Joyce. Once a program is approved by the Board of Directors of Optimist International, we share the board table with the foundation, and the foundation will put their own process in place. I know we have a very distinguished past president and member of the OI Foundation on our board, Sandy Williams. She's also on stage. But we also have Janet Ord-Graves sitting on the board in the CCOF. So they will consider any program and look at the merits of it. And with the particular grant program, there's a process in place which you can qualify. Sandy, if I've gotten it wrong, tell me. If not, you can enhance that.
Yes, I served on that board for 4 years as president the last year. And any club can present a program for the grant program, but it has to be a new program, and you have to do matching grants. And I encourage all of you to do it. It's a great way for new clubs to get money. So think about it next year when it comes up in this, I think it's in January and February. Present your ideas and help the new clubs get funds to get started. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Director Sandy Williams. And you will see a disparate group of people on the board. And while that, as I'm seeing motions to suggest there's probably another question coming from the audience. But while that happens, I'm going to ask Janet Lloyd, who is on the panel right now, to just share a few thoughts about being on a board of directors. There are a lot of people in the audience looking up and saying, wow, how do I ever get to the point that I can sit on that stage? And being a democratic organization, it's important that you know that process and things that you do to gain familiarity with our membership to get that vote. So Janet, just while we fill some space, while that other person comes to the mic, we want to share some thoughts about how we can encourage more people to be exposed to the leadership roles in our organization.
Thank you, Past President Adrian. Being on the board this year has been eye-opening. It's like, I've been a member for many, many years, and this, I think I looked the other day, this is our 30th International Convention. So we've been to several of these. But actually being in the board meetings over the course of the year, I've seen a lot of things that it's like, wow, that's really interesting. And there's all these different club projects that you hear across all the different clubs. That's really inspiring, all the work that everyone does. To want to get here to the board, I tell you, several years ago, I had no clue that I would be in this position. And I was approached, and it's like, well, I was very honored. And I thought, well, why did you pick me? They go, because you care. You care, and you listen to people, and you bring those ideas forward. And so if you're looking to, kind of come to this position, listen to people, share ideas, participate, and just have that overall love of our organization. And you know that you'll go far because you know that we're all here for the same purpose. We all love optimism. We love helping our communities. Did that answer your question, President or Past President Adrian?
Yeah, no, it's more answering the question for the audience. We always need you leaders, and we need to expose people to leadership positions. And one of the things that I encourage everyone listening, whether online or in the audience, if you have a particular skill, please share it with us and let us know that you're interested, and maybe your president may reach out to you to put you on an international committee. We need to expose more people into our viewpoints so that we can see who's out there and put them on committees. And that's important for your own personal development. So thanks for that testimonial, Janet. It really comes from the heart. I can sense and feel that. There was a question from the audience.
Yeah, there's somebody waiting patiently in the back.
Bill Shirolis, Governor of Indiana South. A lot of us are planning in the next 6 weeks our in-person conventions, and I've got two questions. One is, what is the current guidance from OI regarding COVID? There's a little confusion as everybody was arriving here about what our current policy was, but you can see that it's greatly changed from where we were. And the second is the reply from OI by our districts for virtual representation at our conventions. We haven't heard the reply to our request.
Yes, we're working on those. Let me take your first question first. At the board meeting on June 28th, we adopted new COVID guidelines, and the new guidelines say that all Optimist gatherings should follow government, health agency, and business regulations. So for instance, I arrived at the hotel on Saturday and masks were required in the hotel. The hotel changed the policy on Monday saying that vaccinated people did not need to wear masks. So we're following the guidelines of the hotel in that regard. That's why there are so many people without masks in this room. So if the business allows you to meet there without masks, then you can meet without masks. If the business requires you to wear, and Benny, we prefer if he would wear a mask more often, but if the business does not require you to wear masks, and the government and the health agencies don't, then you don't. The second question on the representatives. So we made an economic decision this year that the representatives we would send to you would not cost us a lot of money in travel and expenses. So we are finding more local people to you. Bill, we have assigned somebody to your district, and we're in the process now of confirming their availability. So we've made the assignments. Patsy and Stephanie and I got together and worked the jigsaw puzzle. But when one person says, well, I cannot do this district, then the jigsaw puzzle has to be rearranged. So we're in that process. We hope you'll hear next week about who your speakers are. But if you contact me directly, I can tell you who we believe will be coming your way. And some districts are more certain than others, and I don't remember yours offhand. Go ahead. It looks like you have a follow-up.
Oh.
Okay.
We're great to have, I think we have Mark Katz coming from the foundation for sure.
And we did take advantage of the foundation because the foundation is paying for his travel, so we were happy to take advantage of that. Go ahead.
First of all, sorry.
Just a quick follow-up to that question, Bill. There was and this so our members understand the full scope of it. We had a program called the President's Rep. And Benny, you could correct me, but I believe that used to cost us about $60,000-$70,000 a year in travel to send people all around our organization to all the districts. And quite frankly, we would send someone to a district and you would have 8 people show up, 10 people show up, and you would have to ask whether we are being financially prudent in sending someone out at great cost to the organization, because our money is your money, to the organization to do such. So we made a decision last year, I believe it was, that it will be on a case-by-case basis, and Benny and Stephanie, et cetera, would make a recommendation to the leadership. And I believe President Mark and President Patsy are doing the same thing. So I just wanted to put it within the context of the economic versus the return. That's accurate, right, Benny?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Adrian, we have one in the audience that's been waiting quite some time.
Esther Marie Hillman from the state of Arizona, Pueblo Optimist Club, also Pacific Northwest with the Curling Club and the most populated district in Michigan, although I think we're undistricted with the World Optimist Club. First of all, I want to congratulate and thank our board for its flexibility, ability to pivot, to keep the flexibility in our organization, and to continue to have us be the leader among service organizations that the others are following and trying to emulate. I have a question. Last night it was mentioned from the foundation, Appreciation, that they are now proudly supporting the junior golf program also as one of the charities. Does this mean that the 501c3 that was formed in Florida originally for tax purposes has been dissolved, or is it on its way out, or is it still enacted?
Thank you, Esther Marie, and I'll put that to Benny.
Their donation was to the other foundation. Foundations can donate to other foundations. The Youth Foundation has not been dissolved, will not be dissolved. There's no plans to dissolve it. But the OI Foundation believed that they wanted to help support that program, so they made a generous donation to the golf program as well.
Thank you, Benny, for that. As a matter of fact, we just had our board of directors meeting on Monday where we had the Youth Programs Foundation, that board met. So we were able to discuss the business of the YPF in accordance with the charter and bylaws of that organization. So Esther Marie, thanks for the question, but nope, we're here to stay.
Ben Dreamer with the foundation. Just one follow-up relating to the club grants. If you're applying for club grants, that is only for new projects. But with the new childhood health and wellness grants that came out 2 years ago, if you have any current projects that are existing, you can apply for those. And there are 3 separate deadlines for that. We have very few clubs applying for those. So if your club has a project that relates to childhood health and wellness, whether it's cancer, mental health, or anything related to fitness, you can apply for those, and there are a lot of opportunities to get those for your club as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. There's a question over here.
And before we go there, I just want to congratulate Ben as the newest member of the OI Foundation Board, and actually that was the scope. Also happens to be my distinguished and outstanding governor for the Imagineer, but who's saying? Next question.
I do have a question related to a previous topic. You know, you guys said that you always like to have people volunteer and be leaders, or at least volunteer to be on committees. For 4 years now, I have applied to every president. I have followed all the guidelines laid out in the presentations on Catch a Rising Star. I have done all the little steps. I get down to where I even send the incoming governor, or not governor, president, a detailed list of what I've been up to. Never have I heard back from any of them except one. So, and then this year I find out that the reason that some things didn't happen was because nobody would step up for the next year. And I said, wait a minute. I have talked to that individual or applied to that individual twice and have never, ever received a reply. So there are those of us out there that are trying to help and volunteer, but it should not be so much hard work to try to volunteer for the organization.
Yeah, no, but let me speak with you on that in person. That was me who didn't reply to you this year, and I did intend to have a conversation with you, and I did not, so let's have that conversation.
Okay. Mark, can you identify the speaker? Because I have an idea.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just talk. My name is Nova Sipe. I'm past governor of the Arizona district, and my club is the Marana Foothills Optimist Club down in Tucson, Arizona, where it's 40 degrees hotter.
And your skill set is accounting, right?
Let me jump in here too. I love Nova to death, and she was an outstanding governor. The question that Janet was responding to was about board activity too, and we're one of the few organizations that can self-nominate for the board. So last year we had 3 candidates for the board. 2 years ago we had 5 candidates for the board. So any member that's been a governor that's qualified can self-nominate for the board. And I want to say something else. Next year in Reno, we'll be voting again on bylaws. This year, it was kind of difficult for us. It was a real tough decision. But the only organization I know that a club can send a bylaw proposal in is the Optimist International. Rotary has a bicentennial 5-year bylaw process. Lions has a convoluted process that takes years to get a bylaw changed. Our organization, if you have an idea, if you want to see something change in our bylaws, any club president on their letterheads can send in a proposal for a bylaw change, and we'll be voting on that next year in Reno. So I mean, we're very proactive, and anyone who wants to run for the board, you can put your name in and go for it. And online elections right now really have leveled the playing field. So I want to encourage you that as well.
Thank you so much, Benny.
Adrian, I don't see any questions in the room. Here's one. You need a microphone.
Sorry. So my question is, we're trying to increase communication, and the staff at OI is doing an amazing job with Jen Bagwell, Megan with the LMS. The team is doing amazing. The one little ask that I ask of the board, I work for a school district, and their board agendas list everything the way the board votes. Currently, you can see online a summary of what the board does during their board meeting. But for future elections and to possibly communicate with the board, I would really like to see how each individual member votes, and currently what the discussion was. That way, when I vote in the future, I know who to vote for a little bit better. And I also know who to reach out to for the communication. That's my little ask. I don't need it live streamed.
Adrian, I'll answer that one. We try to be have much clarity on the bylaws as possible. The audit is on the website. We've been advised by legal counsel not to put a lot of the. We put the motion where it passed or failed. The discussions, we have been advised by legal not to put the discussions. Wasn't long ago we were involved in a fairly sizable legal activity, and they used their own minutes against us. So we've been advised by legal not to put those minutes on that website. And while I got the mic, one more time, for at least 3 more months, talking about communications, your first question was communications. My cell phone number is 314-517-3651. And I've always been known, you can call me anytime if you got a question.
Thank you so much, Benny. So we're coming up on the half of the hour, so we'll take 2 more questions.
Over here, he's already had a question.
A question about the $1 million insurance policy when we're doing activities like on the baseball field. Sometimes parents come out and help with a baseball game. We do a Homer's Heroes where we have a number of volunteer firemen and maybe youth baseball team come out and assist the handicapped kids to play baseball every Saturday morning. Now, are they covered by that $1 million insurance policy?
Good question. And that's why I give my cell phone number out a lot. The answer is yes. Our policy covers our Optimist clubs and its projects and programs. And there's some exclusions like blowing up fireworks and watercraft and things, but a baseball project is a covered event. And let me give you an example. A kid hits a ball into the stands and hits someone in the head. We're on the hook for that. That's a third party who was injured. Our policy is a third party policy. Now, if the same kid, though, slides into second base and blows his knee, that's not a covered incident because he's a participant in the plan. We do offer a very reasonable medical plan that I encourage all clubs to buy if you do sports programs. But a fireman who comes out and works the concession stands and he happens to dump a little grease on one of our customers, that would be a covered event. So the answer is yes.
Thank you, Benny. And Cheryl, I give you that heads up quite early. Insurance is an important part of your job. So you'll get to crash course with Benny.
Yeah. There's a lot of gray area in insurance. Let me tell you that. There's a lot of gray. I get questions daily on that. So that's why you want to call the exec director, Cheryl, and ask these questions. And she's going to give your cell phone number to you shortly. So, but I'm going to put her on the spot already.
President Mark, I don't know if we have our governance chair in the audience at this time, but there's a question from Steve Suker, who's asking, what is the status of mandatory club bylaw changes?
We're not quite understanding the question.
What is the status? I know that we did at one of our board meetings.
Okay, Benny, I think's got it.
Okay. It's in,
right.
Adrian, that's Steve Zucker from Michigan. It is in process. We've had the board approves mandatory changes, and then we submit those to the clubs. The clubs go through the process at their local club level. I know I've spoken to hundreds of clubs about different issues, and then they send those back to us. It's in process. It's like molasses. Our clubs are some respond very quickly, and some not so much quickly. So it is in process, Steve, and I know we've been working with Michigan to get all the clubs in compliance, and we'll continue doing so.
Thank you. I know we addressed it at the board, but I wasn't sure where Steve was coming from. So thank you for that, Steve. Any questions in the audience? Well, my clock is saying 9:29, and I know you have an exciting...
Yeah, we may be out of time.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. We'll take one last question on a new subject.
I apologize for double dipping. My question involves our age. I haven't got a satisfactory answer. I look around the room and us old guys are going to be here. We've always been here and we're going to stay here. You're not running me off. My question or challenge to the board is to give us something else, some more ammunition to gather young people into our organization. We've got to have this or we're all going to be sitting here looking at old people.
Okay, I'm going to take this one because I'm very passionate about this. We need to stop talking about age. We want every single human being on this planet to be an optimist. All optimists need this. When you talk about age, when you phrase the question like that, you're telling young people that this organization is not for them, and it is. You're telling people there's something wrong with this organization. I can't hand you something that will get young people to join. Your club has to be welcoming, and when you get young people in there, you have to treat them just like you treat everyone else and not go to them and say, you're a young person, what's your opinion on this? You know, you wouldn't do that to any other diversity issue in your club, and we do that to young people sometimes. So Optimist International cannot hand you something that's going to make young people join your club. What I can tell you is if you offer optimism, young people will come, as will old people, as will middle-aged people. And by the way, person my age is a perfect member for your club as well. So please, 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 just recruit people and don't worry about the age group. And if your club is a welcoming environment for all people, especially young people, they will come.
Thank you so much. And with those words from President Mark, I want to thank the panel who's on the stage. From my left to right, I'm seeing Sandy Williams, Sandy Cyphers, Benny Ellaby, Mark Weinsaw, Cheryl Brenn, Janet Lloyd, and Sandy Larrabee. Thank them for being on stage and taking the questions. We know in the audience we have President-elect Bob Mcfadden. We have a number of past presidents in the audience, but also online we have directors Luke Dubois, Robert Doyle, and incoming directors Carol Haynes and Russ Thomas. So I want to thank all of you for giving of your time and your intellect to share with our members what is happening in our organization. I want to thank our members for contributing such worthwhile questions that led to a fruitful discussion. I want to thank you for the civility in which the town hall has been executed. It leaves, it allows us to better enhance what we do as a board when we have the feedback that is forthcoming. We do not ask you to stop here. Please send any questions, any suggestions you have to our international secretariat at Optimist International, and we will ensure that that's treated as correspondence and dealt with at the board level. I won't be there, but I'm sure they will be to deal with it. But it's a pleasure being your moderator for this town hall, and I wish you all a safe and successful convention. Have a great day and see you again at our opening business session this afternoon at 2 p.m.